where we have firstly used the biometric voter registration, and this is our very first election where we have gone polling station specific. So naturally there was some confusion amongst our voters, especially those who had not done the verification exercise during the inspection period. The Commission would like to advise that we will announce the results as they come in, and all stakeholders are hereby reminded that it is unlawful to announce results because this is a direct contravention of Section 66A, subsection A, subsection B of the Electoral Act. The announcement of election results by unofficial sources has the potential to mislead the public and raise unnecessary political emotions. The public is hereby advised to disregard results not officially announced by the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. In this regard, the Commission will continue to remind stakeholders against the said malpractice. We will take a few questions, especially as I have my commissioners who have come in from the provinces. But I would like to say that we expect that from any time around 3 o'clock this afternoon, we will be in a position to start announcing officially the results. We have received some results, but we must go through a process of verification, which is what we're doing now. And as we traditionally do, each commissioner will announce the result for the respective province. So, for instance, I'm responsible for Harare province. Commissioner Sabata is responsible for Mashonaland East. Commissioner Dr. Moyo, which province are you again? Midlands. Oh, he's responsible for Midlands. We'll take a few questions.
Right. We'll start with you, gentlemen.
ITV News from the United Kingdom.
Please, may you direct the mic to your...
How about that?
There you go. That's better.
Good? ITV News of the UK. Are you confident that there is absolutely no way that this ballot can have been cheated or rigged in any way?
We are absolutely confident that there was no cheating. We are absolutely confident that there was no rigging, and we would like to assure the Zimbabwean people that we, as the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, will not steal their choice of leaders. We will not subvert their will. Whatever it is that comes out in our results is exactly what they decided in the polling booth.
All right, take more questions. Gentleman from the back there. Yeah, you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, Senior Associated Press.
Just wait for the mic to come to you.
Which closed at 7 p.m. yesterday. We have very few polling stations which closed late, so all 10,985 mostly closed on time at 7 p.m. From the statistics received so far, which we are in the process of verifying, voter turnout ranges from 60 to 78% in some areas. The Commission has not yet received figures from a few remote parts of the country owing to communication challenges. Vote counting and collation are at various stages countrywide, with most of the polling stations having completed counting. The atmosphere has remained peaceful throughout the country without any major incidents, and I would like to congratulate my fellow Zimbabweans for achieving that. In Mashonaland East at 6:30, vote counting was complete at all polling stations in the province, while compilation of results at ward level was at 70%. In Matabeleland North, vote counting is almost complete. In Masvingo, we have 100% vote counting which has been reported from that province, they have completed their vote counting. In Mashonaland West, vote counting was still Mashonaland West, oh yes, vote counting is complete in Mashonaland West. In Mashonaland Central, vote counting in that province is at 98%, with Bindura lagging behind owing to lighting challenges. In Harare, vote counting was at 75%. In Bulawayo, vote counting complete. In Manicaland, vote counting was at 56% at 9 a.m. this morning. In Matabeleland South, vote counting was at almost 100% this morning. And in Midlands, vote counting was at 48%, although we are advised that by 1100 hours or at 11 a.m. this morning, their vote counting should be complete. We'd like to report that we had about 1.3% of our total registered voters were turned away for reasons such as not being registered, presenting incorrect documents. Some voters went to wrong polling stations, but were later redirected to correct polling stations. You will realize that this is our very first election where we have firstly used the biometric voter registration, and this is our very first election where we have gone polling station specific. So naturally there was some confusion amongst our voters, especially those who had not done the verification exercise during the inspection period. The Commission would like to advise that we will announce the results as they come in, and all stakeholders are hereby reminded that it is unlawful to announce results because this is a direct contravention of Section 66A, subsection A, subsection B of the Electoral Act. The announcement of election results by unofficial sources has the potential to mislead the public and raise unnecessary political emotions. The public is hereby advised to disregard results not officially announced by the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. In this regard, the Commission will continue to remind stakeholders against the said malpractice. We will take a few questions, especially as I have my commissioners who have come in from the provinces. But I would like to say that we expect that from any time around 3 o'clock this afternoon, we will be in a position to start announcing officially the results. We have received some results, but we must go through a process of verification, which is what we're doing now. And as we traditionally do, each commissioner will announce the results for the respective province. So, for instance, I'm responsible for Harare province. Commissioner Sabata is responsible for Mashonaland East. Commissioner Dr. Wu, which province are you in? Oh, he's responsible for Midlands. We'll take a few questions.
Right. We'll start with you, gentlemen.
ITV News from the United Kingdom.
Please, may you direct the mic to your...
How about that?
There you go.
Is
That's
that
better.
good? ITV News of the UK. Are you confident that there is absolutely no way that this ballot can have been cheated or rigged in any way?
We are absolutely confident that there was no cheating. We are absolutely confident that there was no rigging, and we would like to assure the Zimbabwean people that we, as the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, will not steal their choice of leaders. We will not subvert their will. Whatever it is that comes out in our results is exactly what they decided in polling.
All right, take more questions. Gentleman from the back there. Yeah, you, sir. Just wait for the mic to come to you.
This land, our land, is our Zimbabwe, a land of peace for you and me, once born in pain and segregation, but now we live in harmony. Now flies the flag, our nation's glory. We live with pride inside our hearts as we all stand to build our nation. This our land, our Zimbabwe.
Though I may go to distant borders, my heart will yearn for this
So we will strive to give our children a brighter day where they belong. Oh, now flies the flag, our nation's glory. We live with pride inside our hearts as we all stand to build our nation. This our land, our Zimbabwe. Now flies the flag, our nation's glory. We live with pride inside our hearts as we all stand to build our nation. This our land, our Zimbabwe. This our land, our Zimbabwe. This our land, our Zimbabwe.
Mr. Advocate.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. You will recall that some 2 or so weeks back, we addressed the nation on the anti-rigging mechanisms that have been put in place, which were meant to ensure that the votes cast by the citizens of Zimbabwe would receive total effect. Results have now been announced. We've gone through those results. My client's view is that those results reflect a total negation of the will of the people. The result is announced. The anti-rigging mechanisms that we put in place, they've taken effect and they've assisted us greatly in showing where things went wrong. They've assisted us in establishing that there was a mammoth theft and fraud. The theft is both gross and crass, and for that reason and taking into account that Zimbabweans are entitled to a proper election. The results announced, the declaration made by ZEC is going to be challenged. The relevant challenge has already been prepared, and it is here. The evidence that we have amassed is so clear, it is so convincing, we are happy with it. But this being a matter of legal processes and procedures, we're going to place all that evidence before the courts. But I can tell you that that evidence derives from source documents. That evidence derives from ZEC's own figures, which in our view are grossly made up, which mathematically fail to tally. Apart from that, we also have our secret weapon, which we are going to unleash through this court challenge. And you're going to see it, you're going to see what it is that the people of Zimbabwe said on the 30th of July 2018. We urge the nation to come for about its business. The matter is assumed legal dimension in terms of the bringing of an application. We wish to assure everyone concerned that the situation is absolutely under control. All the evidence that we require is available to us. I wish, however, to indicate that there will be no bar to any citizen involved in doing the kind of work that they would want to do in order to show the world what it is that actually happened. But from a legal perspective, from an evidentiary angle, we have what we require for the purposes of mounting not just a credible and sustainable challenge, but a challenge that is going to yield the entire vacation of the process announced by ZEC. I also wish to advise that we are working with a huge team of lawyers, local assembled. We have given their all to this cause. Part of that team also includes internationally recognized and renowned constitutional law lawyers, some of whom are drawn from the region, some of whom are drawn from regions far from ours. So we have a credible team working on this process. And once you read through the papers, which we shall shortly do, you will see the kind of work that is going in, you will see the kind of industry that is going in, you will see the kind of skill, this kind of passion that characterizes the work that we now have. There are, however, attempts to harass our team. I'm harassed. My team is harassed. I wish to let those who are involved in the harassment, let them know that we are unperturbed. We do not fear them. We are not intimidated. We do not fear people who fear us. We also are not afraid of ensuring that the backbone of our democracy, namely the electoral process, is given full effect. This is something that we are prepared to do, and if it means addressing the Constitutional Court whilst wearing prison guards, we are happy to do so. If it means addressing the Constitutional Court whilst on death beds. We are happy to do so. If it means addressing the Constitutional Court with half our limbs, we are happy and ready to do so. You notice that there has also been an attempt to destroy our evidence. Too late, guys. Too late. Should have done that before the elections. The evidence is secure. And there is nothing that is going to happen. You will notice that there are some warrants which purport to deal with matters of violence. And yet, when you look at those papers, they talk about computers. What kind of computer would show the commission of acts of violence and aggression? You can see that the intention is to access the data that we have. That data cannot be accessed. That data is going to be seen for the first time in the application. But those desperate attempts speak to the fact that there is something which these people want to hide. And it is that something which they want to hide which we are going to fully expose. So many people are going to be embarrassed, but ultimately the will of the people of Zimbabwe is going to prevail. The vote cast by Zimbabweans is going to be vindicated. Because of the acts that I complain about, it then becomes clear that there's also going to be an attempt to harass and intimidate those who must determine this application. We call upon the harassers to desist from that. Judicial independence is at the heart of our democracy. Judicial independence is at the heart of our processes. And I would also wish to say it is only when independence is attacked that its essence comes out. So may all the institutions, may all the systems, may all personnel involved ensure that there is going to be independence, ensure that men and women of integrity who have been constitutionally appointed to deal with mortal disputation are allowed to do so, are allowed to call it as they see it. This harassing of people, the kind of which we have gone through, should not be extended to those men and women. We might know less. So Zimbabwe, do your bit to ensure that judicial independence is adequately protected. The last time I addressed the press conference, I was told that I was going to be arrested because I addressed that press conference. I can assure you that I've conferred with my lawyers who tell me that there is nothing arrestable, there is nothing which will lead to an arrest in the conference that I just delivered. So Zimbabwe, this is where we are at. Soon and very soon we'll be combing through the papers that have been found in court, and you will make your own conclusions.
Thank you very much. I'll take questions going around the room. I'll start here and then go around. Okay? One.
Thank you. You're the first to ask me the question last time. No, it's so lucky.
I was the last one.
That's okay.
So, advocate, when are you going to file papers with the court?
Thank you. The Constitution allows us a period of 7 days, reckoned from the date of declaration, within which to file the papers. And my answer to you is that we will file within the time period permitted by the Constitution.
So you don't have a date that you can give today?
I do.
No, that you can give today?
No, I don't want to give it.
Okay, you don't want to give it?
Yes, but all I can say is that we are filing within the time period permitted by law.
Advocate, can you confirm that you've got all the relevant papers from all the polling stations?
Absolutely, we have everything that we require for the purposes of this challenge. And you're going to go through the B11s, you're going to go through the results announced by ZEC, you're going to go through the figures that you're going to see on that CD that you got from ZEC, and you make your own.
Yes. So you've spoken about harassment. What form of harassment are you enduring from the system?
We are being followed. We are being attacked left, right, and center. There are reports of arrests and imminent arrests all over the place. It's the same old nonsense reloaded. So that is what really is there. But the attempt is to unhinge the technical team. The attempt is to distract the technical team. The attempt is to ensure that the technical team does not do its work. But that is not going to happen. The technical team has already done its work. That is not going to happen. The technical team is going to do its work. That is not going to happen. This is a democratic country. People who are aggrieved by processes have the right to go to court, and nobody can interfere with the exercise of that kind of right.
Yeah.
We have seen reports saying that one of the NDC principals has been arrested. Can you give us any update on this and tell us what exactly is happening? Was he fleeing the country, and if so, why? When you have just said that you're prepared to be arrested or even prepared to die in this country fighting for this?
Yes, I speak on behalf of the President Nelson Chamisa. President Nelson Chamisa will speak on behalf of his own lifting. I speak on behalf of the technical team. President Chamisa will speak on behalf of the politicians.
Yes.
So when I tell you that we are ready to defend the court challenge mounted with our lives, I relate to us as the lawyers in the technical team. You ask President Chamisa about all those other issues, and we will deal with them in good time.
Yeah.
Okay. Advocate, this conference in terms of you filing these papers, are we not seeing you just throwing the bone to the dogs without actually just really going to file this? Because we have read announcements after announcements that we are going to file.
That sounds like, listen, press conference after press conference, listen. That is not true as a matter of fact. The factual premise from which you proceed, the factual premise on which you pitch your question is clearly incorrect. This is the first press conference that I have addressed which deals with this issue. But as I have indicated, Blessed, we've prepared the papers. They're here. They're here. You can comb through them. They're here. We've prepared them. We've prepared them. And the evidence that we require, Blessed, is known to you. You know the evidence. You do. And in fact, if I were to leave this seat and ask you to sit here, you'll tell us exactly what it is that we are saying in our papers without it. So there is no way that we can allow this kind of process to go unchallenged. The process has its difficulties, but there are certain things that must be done. And we are convinced that once this has been placed before a court, they can only be one particular outcome. But ultimately, the call is to be made by the court.
I will take 4 last questions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes.
All right. I have read in the Herald today that ZANU-PF is prepared about 12 lawyers from the other side. Is this case directly meant for ZANU-PF or Zimbabwe Electoral Commission?
We have 1,000 lawyers.
What do you make of that reaction?
They prepared 12 lawyers with 1,000.
I have read from
the challenge is to an electoral process. The electoral process is a set process. Of course, it involves certain malpractices. which includes ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF is a direct beneficiary of those malpractices in our view. But the challenge is to a process, and that is not a ZANU-PF process, it is a ZEC process. If ZANU-PF desire to go lawyers, good for them, we hire the council.
Thank you.
Your client has in the past complained about the capture of the bench by the ruling party. How confident are you that the Constitutional Court will hear your case fairly, given the prior statements?
Complained about the capture of the bench by the ruling party. I have not heard those complaints. I do not have a brief on those complaints. I'm not prepared to talk about those complaints. What I'm prepared to talk about is the process that I'm building. It is a court process. I'm satisfied that the evidence is not just overwhelming as we usually say in court, but it is embarrassing. That will give the court the opportunity to call it as it says it. I've been a lawyer all my life. Law is what I know, and law is what I will do.
Thank you. Just before the election, spoke about sealing a power transfer deal with the relevant authorities. What happened to that deal?
Power is transferred upon the declaration that the person has won. So that declaration is going to come, and power shall be taken lawfully.
Do you have enough evidence to stop the inauguration on Sunday?
There is no inauguration happening on Sunday, and will not be concerned by it at any rate. Look, this is the legal position. Once a result has been announced, you have 7 days within which to challenge that result. The inauguration process involves the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice is also, on the other hand, the head of the Constitutional Court. So it is not possible for a man of the integrity, or a man of the knowledge, or a man of the experience of our Chief Justice to preside over an inauguration process of a president when there is a challenge to the declaration of the result. So, can be inauguration on Thursday, on Sunday, say, no, it's not possible as a matter of law. It's just not possible.
If you lose, what's the way forward in the court?
You ask me this as a lawyer.
Yes, I am.
If I lose as a lawyer, I've lost.
And then the whole cause is lost.
No. You've asked me this as a lawyer. If I lose as a lawyer, I've lost. Yes. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Future is coming. I will be here to ask you again.
Well, if I lose, I have lost. The Constitutional Court is the highest court in the land. So there is no appeal against the determination of the Constitutional Court. So if you ask me as a lawyer, what will you do if you lose in the highest court? If I lose in the highest court, I've lost as a lawyer.
Thank you.
But ask that question to President Chamisa and see what kind of answer he gives you. I do not have instructions on that kind of an answer.
Right. Thank you very much for coming. We'll see you very soon. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The President, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, would like to update Zimbabweans, Africans and the world about the politics in this country. Thank you very much, Dr. Sibanda.
Thank you, colleagues. I want to take this opportunity to appreciate your coming. Of course, apologizing for us starting this conference a bit late. But I was trying to deal with our legal team just to make sure that we tie up our loose ends and we make sure that things are more in a row, our ducks have to be in a row in terms of our matter. And we don't want to be 6s and 7s, and I'm glad that we've done very well. So my apologies. I want to take this opportunity first to thank the members of the press for what I believe has been a fantastic appreciation of the developments in the country. You have covered our issues very well, and we want to thank you. Members of the fourth estate, you have done very well. We appreciate you, we thank you. Of course, we have issues with certain of the newspapers, like the Herald and the ZPC. We continue to urge them to be visited by Wings of Sanity so that they report things properly. We do not want to interfere with their editorial content and editorial policy, but we just kindly ask them to report accurately and to give fair coverage to all the players. Who knows? It might not be Mnangagwa the next morning. And if you are all rooting for a person who did not win the election, where are you going to be? So it's very important that you understand that the jury is still out, the decision has not been made, people voted, and people overwhelmingly voted for change. They overwhelmingly voted for this candidate, and this candidate is ready to assume office at the appropriate time. Mr. Mnangagwa was defeated in this election, and as I will indicate, we are urging him to accept that defeat and to be honorable enough, patriotic enough, and humble enough, revolutionary enough to accept the will of the people. Thank you very much. Fellow Zimbabweans, I wish to take this opportunity to address you as a way of thanking you and appreciate what I consider to be a very deeply touching and encouraging support from across the political party divide, from across all the regions of the country. It has been a very ringing and high-sounding message of solidarity as we continue to receive solidarity messages across the whole country, the continent and the world at large. In fact, one wonders who then voted for Mr. Mnangagwa. Because everywhere I've gone, in the rural areas, in the urban areas, in the high-density suburbs, in the low-density suburbs, at churches, all the denominations, I've never met a person who is celebrating. I've never met a person who is possibly saying that they are happy with Mr. Mnangagwa having been declared, because it's not tallying with what the people voted for. So I fully understand your anxieties as a nation around the upcoming court case that we are challenging after the subversion of the will of the people by ZEC in cahoots with some of the rogue elements that are in our midst. I would like to guarantee you that we have a very strong case and we are going to overturn this electoral fraud. Consistent with what we promised, we are going to defend your vote, our vote, the people's vote, the Zimbabwean vote. What is clear is that what is on trial is not Nelson Chamisa or the MDC Alliance. What is on trial is democracy. What is on trial is free and fair elections. What is on trial is a credible plebiscite. And this is why we are very happy that we've constituted and configured together an A-team of experienced, tested, and veteran legal experts drawn from the best minds in the region and in the country. These are led by our finest and our best in terms of legal minds. This team has been working tirelessly to protect the people's victory, your victory, within the confines and pressings and parameters of peace. And I'm saying we are very happy with the people of Zimbabwe for being patient, for being peaceful, for heeding to our call of peace, for heeding to our call of calmness, for heeding to our call of making sure that we protect our vote in terms of the law and in terms of the Constitution. We have been provoked. Our leaders have been subjected to persecution and harassment
but you have not succumbed to that temptation. You have resisted the temptation to throw the country into anarchy. You have refused to be cowed into submission. You have refused to be partners and co-partners in causing instability in this country. Merchants of violence, merchants of darkness have been romping and wreaking havoc, but you have refused to help them and you give them a helping hand. I must say thank you, Zimbabwe, for being peaceful. We will continue to be peaceful and we will continue to have confidence, not just in you as Zimbabwe, but also in the assurances that we have received from our legal team, which is, like I said, in 80. We do not expect to get anything less. The assurances are as good as gold, and I have no doubt that victory is certain and change is coming. I know that the nation is desperate for change. Change is coming and change will come. There can never be change with those who fight change, like Mr. Mnangagwa. There can never be change with those who do not believe in change, like those in ZANU-PF. So we have no doubt that victory is coming. And of course, we also want to debunk the myth that Mnangagwa and his party got the 2/3 majority. They did not. We are challenging most of those results, so they do not have a 2/3. They know that they engineered and rigged the election to certain constituencies in a brazen fashion, in a very flagrant manner. And for that reason, we are challenging a number of constituencies. We are going to give you the total number, but they do not have a 2/3 majority. They did not win the parliamentary election. Even in the rural areas where they have claimed that they won, they did not. They were given victory, which they did not deserve. And whoever gave them, this is what we seek, through the constitutional means and legal means, to reverse and invalidate. We ourselves are already working on a program of action to make sure that there's a total fulfillment of our votes. You voted for the alternative, you voted for opportunity, you voted for change, and we're already working and rolling out a program, a government work program, to make sure that we respond to our issues. You have seen how the dollar or the bond note has responded, the stock market has responded, the prices have responded, you in the communities have responded. There is totally no confidence in ZANU-PF. There is no confidence in Mr. Mnangagwa. This is why you have seen things going down south in terms of all the indicators in the economy. It's clearly a test of no confidence, a vote of no confidence in Mr. Mnangagwa, which vote of no confidence was emphatic in your voting. Yes, we must not be intimidated by anyone from anyone. We are masters of our destiny, and we are only liberators. For that reason, we have to make sure that we stand on our guard to defend our votes within the confines of peace, without being intimidated. Change does not come easy. The darkest hour is before dawn. We knew that we're going to go through this valley of unhappiness, the valley of persecution, but ultimately the summit of victory is going to be reached, and we're almost there. Yes, we know that without the change that we want, we are going to fall back again into intolerable poverty, suffering for the next 5 years. Even in that case, we do not want to go back to a situation where we wait for another 5 years by those who are seeking to subvert your will. There is no guarantee that if we wait for the next 5 years, Zimbabweans in the rural areas who are totally under captivity and slavery are going to be free there. We need to remove all the challenges and obstacles to free and fair elections now. And this is why we are challenging some of the issues in court, but also we are going to pursue a political program to make sure that we liberate people in the rural areas. They have not tested independence. For the past 38 years, people in the rural areas have been subjected to captivity. And one wonders, the behavior of colleagues in ZANU-PF is totally deplorable. They want to behave in a manner that Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda, ISIS would behave, using terrorism as a way of mobilizing consent in society. And that's what they do in the rural areas. Under normal circumstances, this organization would have to be examined to see if it is a normal political party that should be allowed in a democratic society. Because you can't use violence, you can't use terror as a basis of organizing society. And that's what ZANU-PF does. Yes, I've already said to our colleagues in SADC, I want to really appreciate the position that they took, that they did not congratulate ZANU-PF. They did not congratulate Mr. Mnangagwa, because they know that he is not the winner. And I'm very happy and fortified by that position. Yes, some of you have said, oh, Mr. Mnangagwa was given the position of deputy chairperson of SADC Organ Troy. That position is given to a country. It is not the Mnangagwa position. I will take up that position as head of state once the processes have been confirmed. It is not Mr. Mnangagwa's position. It is a country position that should be known. So we don't want people who celebrate nothing and they want to make it something. He has not been appointed. There is no confidence even in SADC. That's why he came back empty-handed. He was not celebrated, he was not honored. You know that Lorenzo was actually, President Lorenzo was congratulated. MPLA was congratulated, but not Mr. Mnangagwa, because they know that the jury is still out. He has not won this election. The determination has to be made. The people voted and they cheated. So it has to be understood, and this is the message I have to SADC. Please help us help the African continent and help ourselves by making sure that you help us heal the division that is in the country. There is need for people to start to be on a permanent path to cure the illegitimacy, to cure the crisis that we have, the electoral stalemate. That can only be done if SADC were to come in and start to help us negotiate a respectable exit for Mr. Mnangagwa, a respectable exit for those who have been voted out. That is very important, particularly in the context of our politics. To the international community, the road to the future of Zimbabwe, the rule of law, good governance, and observance of human rights passes through a fresh pair of hands and a genuinely alternative narrative and alternative politics. We represent such. To SADC, like I said, they are our regional guarantor of peace. You are the guarantors of peace, the guardians of prosperity and progress and freedom. It is important to make sure that you have a hands-on approach on the Zimbabwean situation. We will commit ourselves to peace, but of course we have all routes that are available. The legal route and the constitutional route is one of them. Beyond those, we also have political routes that we are going to pursue in the context of peace, in the context of the constitution. We will organize the people of Zimbabwe to make sure that their vote is protected, to make sure that their vote is guaranteed. And that we've done. Our first avenue is the legal route, the second avenue is the political route. All the hopeful Zimbabweans, I want to thank you for the prayers, for the fasting. I know the bishop, the pastors, you are praying. All Zimbabweans, you are praying. Thank you very much for the prayers. Let us continue to be hopeful. The future is yours. You must always be mindful that no intimidation lasts forever. There is no window of despair that goes permanent. Harassment might come, but it's just for a short term. Zimbabweans, you are heroic people, a peaceful people. All the trials and tribulations you are going through are only but oil for you to be perfect for a new beginning. We will not be defeated by the enemies of progress, the enemies of light. This country is far too important to give up on and to give up on. Our future depends on all of us and the choices that we make. This is why we must never be discouraged by naysayers, doomsayers, and cynics who continue to tell us that the doors are shut. They are not. Change is coming, and change is going to be celebrated in this country. And we are ready for that celebration. Yes, it will take too long. It has taken long, but the process is always as difficult. As I said, the darkest hour is there before dawn. Above all, let us commit these next 3 days in prayer, as we pray for our nation, as we fast for our nation. I know that we'll make it. Our Almighty is always on our side. Like I said, God is in it. When I said it is not a slogan, I said it because it's a statement of faith. It's also a declaration of our faith and a declaration of what we know. God is in it. Whether it is in the summit or in the valley, our God is in it. And we know that God will stand for the people of Zimbabwe. I want to thank you. May God bless you. Thank you.
Except the court ruling, whichever way it goes, even if you lose.
We always make a forensic assessment at the appropriate and material time. We can't just accept the promise. We are going to accept once the process has been undertaken. We will assess the process and then make the appropriate announcement. What we can't do is before the fact to say that we will accept whatever comes. What about if the verdict is to hang us? We've not asked for that kind of relief. So why do you want us just to accept, from nowhere? We want to accept, once we have assessed the situation, to say, where are we? We have done our best to give a very credible case. Evidence is available, and we'll wait for, obviously, the adjudication of the matter.
In the run-up to the elections, we were very anxious to know if you were going to participate in these elections. And at some point, you contemplated pulling out. And then you came out saying that you have debunked the rigging strategy for ZANU-PF. And you are so sure that you are going to win the elections. You said you were going to thrash them because you know all their corners. What happened now? You are complaining about rigging in all but 210 constituencies, including the presidential.
In fact, you have just confirmed what I said. We won the election, and you know it. We got them because the rigging that they did, we now have the evidence.
But why were you rigged? You said you know how they rigged.
Would you blame an innocent person for a thief who has broken into the house?
But you were aware. You thought you would put safeguards in that.
We have safeguards, and that's why we want the court of law to declare, and that's why we are in court. We have the evidence. We did put in place the hand-reading unit. That's why we know the actual results, and that's why we know the way they've cheated. And that's why Chikumba is 6s and 7s on these issues. That's why they continue to revise Mr. Mnangagwa's figures downwards. And we don't know where they're going to stop. Yes. So, I want you to be very clear. We won this election. It's not an easy thing for us to garner the millions of votes that we garnered. The Mr. Mnangagwa's so-called millions of votes are actually fiction. Or some are engineered, some are produced on his behalf, declared on his behalf, some are forced in terms of assisted voters, some are actually command votes, where they to command people and commandeer them into voting for them. And some they've multiplied, relying on statistics. And Mr. Mnangagwa's statistics are very funny. 10 plus 4 equals to 40.
1, 2, 3.
Tatsumana Islami, you confirm that your legal team has submitted all the necessary bundles with evidence to the Constitutional Court?
Well, like I said, I don't want to go into the nitty-gritties of the court because it's adjudicated, but everything has been done to make sure that we have our day in court. And as an officer of court, I have a duty to respect court processes as they are undertaken, so that I don't then end up, fighting outside the confines of the court. But I can tell you that we have an A legal team, the best team ever. I know that Mr. Mnangagwa advised my team.
My name is Lucy Yasin. I'm a freelance journalist. I wanted to know, you are calling on SADC to come and assist in Zimbabwe situation. Do you trust them, considering how they handled the same situation 2008 and before?
When you have parents, when you have an aunt, it's not a question of trust. It's a question of respect. We respect them because they are the guarantors of this region. So we count on them. And we count on them because of the honor that we bestow upon them, but also because they are the guardians of regional stability and integrity. So it's not a question of us trusting them or not trusting them. It's a question of the respect that we have for them and the duty that they have to undertake in the context of regional integration. So we are counting on it. We have run to our auntie SADC. We hope that they will deal with our own merit, which is on the rocks because of our colleagues in ZANU-PF. who are very abusive. Thank you, Lucy.
Karen Paida, Zimbabwe's Television Network. You mentioned that you are contesting a number of constituencies. Can you give us a figure, if possible?
Well, I do want to give the figures because we're just finalizing on the areas where we are going to focus on, but over 18 constituencies where we are contesting. And I can tell you that so far we've done 21, but it's even going to go ahead with about 40 constituencies where we had anomalies. But we're also assessing the quality of evidence so that we have areas where we have real evidence of what they did. For example, areas where they were using assisted voters, forcing even teachers to say you can't write, and people would be assisted. Areas where we had overvoting, areas where we had command voting, village heads being polling officers, on behalf of ZANU-PF. All those areas are going to be challenged. Malpractices that are well documented are going to be challenged. But like I told you, there can never be deception that lasts forever. ZANU-PF know that they are sitting on the foundation of deception and lies. They will not win an election in this country. Mr. Mnangagwa was defeated in this election, and he must concede defeat. We defeated them even in the parliamentary constituencies. Look at it now. We have over 23 mayors that belong to the MDC. We control all the major cities and metropoles. We control 70% of the taxpayers and then those who pay and actually contribute revenue. I don't know what Mr. Mnangagwa controls, but we have 70%. Even in the rural areas, they are also saying we are not controlled by him. So who is he supposed to be leading? Who voted for him? By the ask. Thank you.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, I'm Ined from ANC. There are reports that some members of the local team, especially advocate Daliko and Tembeka Kaito, haven't been given a green light to argue in court. Have you resolved that?
We are resolving that. In fact, we are working further to make sure that there is no obstacle to our teams doing our best. I mean, they should not be afraid of our team. We don't target the members of our team because we are afraid of the A game that we are going to give. And of course, people like Ziabi are also interested in your parties. There can't be fair arbiters on this matter. But we will deal with that. We are already dealing with that, and our legal team is well seized with the matter. It's being sorted out.
Sophia Makanda, there are reports that we have international journalists that are coming to hear this case. Have you reached out to the international community? And have you, as the NGC has reached out to that?
Thank you, Sophia. Not particularly to the ICJ, but we welcome any kind of international spotlight. I've reached out to a number of countries. I've met with a number of international diplomats, the European Union and the United States of America, to try and sensitize them on the need for us to have a fair process in the country. And I'm happy with the kind of support and solidarity that we are getting. It's so exciting and encouraging. There is solidarity with the people of Zimbabwe, and we're happy.
Awesome. So, that's the question.
Thank you very much. Two last questions.
Does the system allow you to continue to submit evidence that you are continuing to unearth?
Well, I think the court processes leave them. We are happy with what we have done so far. We continue to unearth more evidence, but of course it's also just for aesthetic value and cosmetic value to add to what we already have. The stenum of our argument is already met, and we have already submitted our papers, and we are happy with what our lawyers have done. We have a good team. They've done a good job, and they've made good assurances. I'm so excited with what they've done. It's working. Thank you. Thank you very much. I also want you to just help me welcome our chairman, Committee, who was obviously arrested.